Daily Broadside, day 626. So get this. And when I was in college, I worked 3 jobs when I was in college because I'm a whore for the money. So I was working for the street department doing concrete work. And they would like drop me off for class. I'd be in like Red Wings and like just covered in concrete dust. And then they'd pick me up after my class and I'd go back to work. It's pretty cool. And then I was on call 24/7 because I was a paid volunteer fireman because I was bored one summer and I was like, that sounds like riveting. And it is. It's pretty cool going into like a burning house and doing all the crazy stuff we did. And then 2 or 3 nights a week, I drove a little shuttle around campus from like 7 at night till like 3 in the morning, something like that. I didn't sleep for crap like in college. But anyway, and so when I worked for the shuttle service, that's basically like a way to like drive people around campuses or around campus so that they could safely, get around. But it was really just driving drunk people around from one like dorm to another. And, cause there wasn't any crime on that damn campus. Anyway, there was like 4 of us, maybe 3. There was like 2 dispatchers that gave us the calls, like where to go and pick people up and where to take them to. And we're driving like 15 passenger vans, right? And man, I can tell some funny stories, but maybe another day. But there was this dude, it was me and my buddy got this job, and it was such a pie gig. I mean, we just like dicked off and drove a van, picked up hot chicks that were mildly intoxicated and put up with their antics for, 8 minutes, dropped them off and went to the next thing, or just sat in the parking lot and hung out. Anyway, there was an older guy that worked with us, right? I can't for the life of me remember his name. I remember what he looked like, but he was probably, we're like 21, and I'm thinking he was probably in his late 50s, late or mid to late 50s, I'm going to guess. Chain smoking dude, kind of dwarfish, kind of small, impish, and lived with his mama. Actually, his mama lived with him. But here's the weird thing, and this is why I tell this completely stupid story that has no point of even existing, but it's there, and we're telling it. It's not even a story. It's really just a description of this man's lifestyle. Very interesting guy. But, if he wasn't in that van, he was smoking a cigarette. He would pull over as soon as he got, because you can't smoke in the van. I mean, it's, what do we call it? College property. They wouldn't let you do that. And then when he burns in the seats, but I can tell some funny stories of things that happened in that van. But again, another day. Maybe I'll do a series on van stories because there are many. A couple of them I still don't believe to this day. And you were thinking to yourself, what in the world could possibly happen in van? Oh, there was some story. Anyway, I've talked enough. But here's the thing, right? So the dude had like the weirdest collection. And this is what he did. He had some regular job and he like moonlighted. This was like his secondary job. And you know why? It was to finance his collection of Buick Rivieras. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with the Buick Riviera, it was I think it came out in the late 60s. And I actually had some pretty cool body styles. He had the ones from like 79 to like 85, right? The ones that you could pick up back then for probably like $400, $500, $600, right? And he had some really nice cherry ones because he would drive a different one. I think he had 5 of them, right? And you may ask yourself, why the hell would you need 5 Buick? I don't know why you need one, but he had 5. And so he would drive a different Buick Riviera. And I didn't notice this until about the 2nd or 3rd day I'm working. And I'm like, what did your car white yesterday? He's like, yeah, it was my other one. I'm like, oh, okay. And didn't say anything else. I'm like, okay, dude's got a black one and a white one. Sweet. It's the Michael Jackson collection. I think we know what we're doing. So 2 or 3 days later, I come back to work. He pulls up in like a maroon Buick Riviera, whatever color it was, right? Aqua blue. I don't know what the hell it was. It was all these like cool 70s, 80s colors, right? And I'm like, what are you doing? Painting your white car? No, this is my 3rd one. And so at that point, it's like, halt up a second. How many of these, and I was a car guy. I've been a car guy since, middle school, high school, as soon as I could, find things to read about cars. And so I knew what the car was. It's just basically a Malibu with a 350 in it, but you can also get a V6 with turbo in it. But I said, how many of these do you have? And he's like, 5. I'm like, you have 5 Buick Rivieras? He's like, yeah. And he's, of course. And I'm like I'm the odd one, right? And I'm not discounting anybody that's got multiple cars. I own multiple cars. I love multiple vehicles. It's nice to have an option. And it's nice when you forget to fill up your tank. You're like, oh, the other one's got gas. I'll take it. So it's nice. I like to have options. Okay. It's like having multiple ties. You don't want to go to work, look like Michael Scott every week and have the Tuesday tie, the Wednesday tie. I worked with a guy who always wore the same. You could tell what he was going to wear the next day. If you're going to have ties, I think you should have like 78 of them, right? More, it should be like 3 months before you rotate a tie back in to where people are like, damn, I forgot all about that tie. That tie is tight, like T-I-E-G-H-T, you know what I mean? And so anyway, where was it? So he's got all these Buick Rivieras. And I'm like, what's your fascination? He's like, I just love it. It's the greatest car ever made. And I'm like, the Ferrari 288 GTO. Like, there were several cars. Continuing, my phone alerted me to the presence of being at 20%. Bitch, I know. And I could see the little thing at the top. Anyway, I was like, they make other cars. There's a Countach out there, 288 GTO. There's several cars, but no, Porsche 928, nothing, just Buick Riviera. Okay, because I'm like, you could sell all those things and get like one really cool car. But, and this dude's like single as the day is long, right? I'm trying to think of what movie character he reminds me of, and I can't quite pull it out of my head. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anything? No. So anyway, so he's telling me how many of these things he's got. And I just did the math last night because I thought about this, right? In 1982, for example, they made enough Buick Rivieras. They made like 42,000 and change, okay? And at the time in 1982, there were 231 million people in this fine country, this fine land of ours. That means that only 1 in 5,500 people in this country owned a Buick Riviera, a new one in 1982. There are many, many, many towns in this country that don't even have 5,500 people in them, which means you could live in hundreds of cities across this fine country. And I'm still coughing, but the prednisone has kicked it right in. I have downshifted to third today, 1,000 times better, but I digress. That means you could live in hundreds, maybe thousands of towns, municipalities, townships, unincorporated areas, whatever you want to call them in municipality words, and not even have one person that has a 1982 Buick Riviera. And this dude's got 5. Now, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's got like a Buick Riviera Emporium, which would be a Riviera-porium, River-Emporium. It'd be some kind of portmanteau that you could festoon that into something, right? And but this dude had 5 of them, right? Rocking it. And if one thing failed on one, he'd go to the other, pop the hood, pull apart, put it back on there, maroons back on the road. You know what I mean? Anyway, again, I told you this is going to be a stupid story, and it really means nothing to anybody. But I'll end with this. I think we should get rid of shaking hands with the other team at the end of the game. I don't like sportsmanship. I don't think you should, step on the throat after the game, but I don't think you need to shake their hand, because the people that lost, they don't want to shake your hand. You ever see people in these lines? All right, good game, good game, good game, good game. It's like somebody just shot their grandma, I mean, nobody's happy about doing that. And the other dudes, they just want to go, pour champagne on their head and, party, right? They don't care. And they just want to be like, sucks being you, bitch, And they're over like, I will kill you in the parking lot. I mean, I probably said words I'm not supposed to say on here, but anyway, so I say we just get rid of it. Just walk off the court. It don't make you any less of a man. You can win with grace and not have to shake some dork's hand, that you... And here, think about this. What good comes from it? All right? Oh, it's a display of good, godly sportsmanship. No, it isn't. It's just a dumb tradition. But what comes bad from it? Well, people cuss each other. People get into little spats. People sometimes break out into fisticuffs. Queensberry rules, right? So I would say that there's 100% better chance of something bad happen versus what outweighs it by what's good happening. Those statistics probably make no sense, but nevertheless, that's where I stand.